Welcome to Building New India Reform, Resilience, Transformation. The title itself gives the framework reform in institutions, resilience in critical sectors, and transformation in citizen outcomes. This is not merely a policy document, it is the story of a country rewiring itself for the future. We begin with self reliance, not as isolation but as strategic capability. India's post-pandemic strategy is clear: targeted import substitutions in critical sectors combined with export-oriented competitiveness. Electronics is the perfect example. Production has jumped from 1.9 lakh crore to 11.3 lakh crore. Mobile manufacturing has risen from 18,000 crores to 5.45 lakh crore, and India is now the world's second largest mobile phone manufacturer. Then come semiconductors. India Semiconductor Mission, OSAT facilities, chip design centers, and silicon carbide fabs. So the message is clear. India wants a seat at the commanding heights of the 21st century economy. So this slide proves that self-reliance is not limited to electronics. It extends to automobiles, pharmaceuticals, defense, and exports. India is the pharmacy of the world, the third largest pharma producer by volume, and an emerging defense manufacturing power. Defense production has risen from 46,000 crore to 1.54 lakh crore, and defense exports have crossed 23,000 crore. So the big takeaway here is Atmanirbhar is moving from slogan to supply chain. And notice the crucial point: self-reliance has not made India inward-looking. India concluded 9 FTAs covering 38 countries and access to nearly 70% of the global GDP. So the Indian model is not just protectionism, it is capability at home, competitiveness abroad. From domestic capability, we now move to global integration. India's trade strategy has evolved. FTAs are no longer only about tariff reduction. They are about market access, services, trade, investment mobility, and supply chain resilience. The India-EU FTA is called the mother of all deals. It gives massive access to Indian exports while protecting sensitive sectors like dairy, meat, poultry, and cereals. India-Oman CEPA is important as well for zero duty access and professional mobility. The EFTA TEPA is important because it links trade with investment and jobs. 100 billion US dollar investment over 5 years and 1 lakh expected direct jobs. The UAE CPA, Australia ACTA, and Mauritius CCPA and GCC negotiations show that India is negotiating not just to export more goods but to enter global value chains. External competitiveness also needs internal reform. That is where business environment reforms come in. So the slide captures a major shift from suspicion-based government to trust-based governance. So India has over 2.16 lakh DPIIT recognized startups. RBI consolidated more than 9,000 circulars into 238 master directions. Jan Vishwas decriminalized 183 provisions across 42 acts. So GST taxpayers have grown from around 60 lakh in 2017 to more than 1.6 crore by Jan 2026. So now comes one of India's most distinctive strengths, digital governance. So the MCA 21, Udyam, Spice Plus, NSWS, and Parivesh 3.0 show that the state is becoming platform driven. So Udyam has over 7.7 crore registrations. NSWS integrates central and state approvals. Spice Plus consolidates multiple procedures. So the big idea here is the state is moving from a maze to a service platform. Digital governance goes beyond registration. PM Gati Shakti integrates ministries, data layers, and projects. GEM has crossed 4 lakh crore in FY26 order value. UPI is recognized as the world's largest retail fast payment system. So this is India's operating system for the economy, payments, procurement, logistics, and approvals running on digital rails. Next is GST 2.0, the tax architecture of New India. The story begins in 2017 by subsuming 17 taxes and 13 cesses. GST 2.0 simplifies the regular structure into 5% and 18% with a special 40% rate for luxury and sin goods. Rate rationalization for trucks, cement tractors, irrigation machinery, chemicals, textiles, leather, and drones is not just tax reform. It is about reducing friction, supporting production, lowering logistic costs, and improving competitiveness. Now we move to labor reforms, politically sensitive but economically indispensable. The four labor codes rationalize 29 older laws. They cover wages, industrial relations, social security, and occupational safety. Universal minimum wage, 2x overtime, gig worker recognition, gratuity for fixed-term employees after 1 year, and one all-India license show a modernizing labor market. So the ambition is balance flexibility for enterprise, dignity for the workers. The slide is important for women-led development. Women can work in all establishments and night shifts with consent and safeguards. So labor reform is not only is of doing business, it is also about widening workforce participation. Economic growth is incomplete without human capital. So now we come to health. Ayushman Bharat rests on four pillars: PMJ, Ayushman Arogya Mandirs, PM Abhim, and ABDM. So India has over 1.84 lakh Arogya Mandirs, more than 863 million Abha IDs. Telemanas has handled millions of interactions. So the shift is from treatment-centric healthcare to preventive digital and population-scale healthcare. So the outcomes indicate the effort. Maternal mortality is down by 83% since 1990, undefined mortality by 75%, and TB incidence has fallen. TB incidence have fallen. India supplies 20% of global generic medicines and 55 to 60% of UNICEF vaccines. Add AIMS expansion and medical seat growth, and you see the health capacity rising at scale. Now we move to women empowerment, the axis on which social transformation truly turns. So this chapter shows that empowerment begins before employment. Nutrition, maternity support, education, scholarships, and future skills create the foundation. So this is the pipeline from girl child survival to future ready skills. Safety is the enabling condition. Mission Shakti, Sambal, Samarthya, one-stop centers, Women Helpline 181, She Box, and Mission Vatsalya create the institution scaffolding. So the point here is women empowerment is not just one scheme, it is an ecosystem. So once the foundation is built, the next step is economic agency. Day NRLM has mobilized more than 10 crore rural women households into over 90 lakh SHGs with repayments above 98%. So women are no longer only beneficiaries, they are borrowers, entrepreneurs, drone pilots, sellers, and creators of rural enterprise. PMJDY, PM Swanidhi, and Stand Up India strengthen the financial pathway. The savings, insurance, overdraft, working capital, and enterprise loans together create a ladder of economic mobility. Now we enter a sector many aspirants underestimate: the creative economy. Media, entertainment, AVGCXR, gaming, live events, digital content, and IP-based services are not soft sectors anymore. They are growth engines. So India's media and entertainment sector is around 2.5 trillion and supports over 10 million livelihoods. So the future economy will not built only by factories and code, it will also be built by imagination, content, and intellectual property. With 2025 is where India's creative ambition becomes global. Waves is India's first dedicated global convergence platform for media and entertainment, creating India's Challenge, Waves Bazaar, and WaveX. Connect creators, startups, investors, and global markets. So India is not only building audience, India is trying to India is trying to build creators, studios, and exportable intellectual property. So the Waves Declaration adds another dimension: the ethical media, fact based journalism, inclusion, IP protection, AI responsibility, and countering misinformation. From creative industries, we move to India's oldest but still crucial pillar: agriculture. Agriculture and allied sectors contribute nearly one-fifth of GVA, employ 46.1% of the workforce, and support 55% of the population. So India is a global leader in pulses, millets, spices, and coconut. Farm credit has reached nearly 29 lakh crore. So the evolution is pretty clear from food security to productivity, resilience, and value addition. So we got MSP, PM Kisan, PMFBY, ENAM, FPOs, food processing schemes, and ONORC show that farm policy is becoming more complete. So the farmer is being supported not only during sowing but also through risk, markets processing, and food security. Agriculture's quiet revolution is increasingly driven by allied sectors. So India is the largest milk producer, second largest fish producer, and second in egg production. So livestock dairy has increased by 195%. So this matters because allied sectors provide steadier cash flows, reduce crop income risk, and strengthen rural livelihood. Digitalization is entering even livestock and fisheries. Pashu Aadhaar gives animals a 12-digit ID. Bharat Pashudan has registered over 36 crore livestock. So this is rural India entering the data age. No modern economy can rise without energy security. So India is among top three global energy consumers, but the major transformation is in clean energy and efficiency. So solar capacity has gone from 3 gigawatt to 140 gigawatt. So green hydrogen targets about 5 million MT by 2030, and nuclear energy is being expanded through the Shanti Act and small modular reactors. So this is energy transition as industrial strategy. India is also building climate energy coalitions through the Global Biofuel Alliance, International Energy Efficiency Hub, and the International Solar Alliance. So the message is very clear. So India does not see energy transition only as a climate obligation, it sees it as energy security, industrial opportunity, and diplomatic leadership. Energy powers the economy, logistics connects it. So India's logistics cost is now estimated at 7.97 of the GDP. PM Gati Shakti, ULIP, LDB 2.0, dedicated freight corridors, multimodal logistic parks, and industrial corridors are building an integrated logistics ecosystem. So India is not merely building infrastructure, India is building intelligent infrastructure. Transport is not just movement, it is inclusion written in concrete, steel, and speed. India now has the third largest metro network in the world. Vande Bharat and Amrit Bharat show the modernization of rail travel. So, engineering landmarks such as Chenab Bridge, New Pamban Bridge, and Jikhat Bridge are not just structures, they are symbols of state capacity. Tunnels are shrinking distance in difficult terrain, and Udan has democratized aviation. Airports have increased from 74 in 2014 to 164 in 2025. So connectivity is not just a luxury, it is the bloodstream of national integration. Now we come to one of the greatest equalizers, digital access. We know Digital India was launched in 2015 and the numbers show the scale. BharatNet has connected over 2 lakh gram panchayats. Data cost has fallen from 269 rupees per GB to around 8 to 10 rupees. Broadband subscriptions have crossed over 1 billion. So this digitalization is reaching the last mile, not merely the first mile. The next step is future readiness. Atal Tinkering Labs, Future Skills Prime, India AI Mission, and startups in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities show that India wants to avoid a new AI divide. That is inclusion moving from access to capability. Now we come to India's most globally admired governance innovation, which is the DPI, Digital Public Infrastructure. Aadhaar, Jandan, UPI, ONDC, GEM, and PFMS form the operating rails of the Indian economy. So Aadhaar has crossed 143 crore numbers. Jandan accounts have crossed 57 crore. UPI handles more than 21 billion monthly transactions. So the world studies India stack because it combines scale, inclusion, and interoperability. UPI is not limited to payments. DigiLocker, Umang, eCodes, Cowin, eSanjeevani, Portion Tracker, Diksha, and APSA to show that public digital rails can transform justice, health, nutrition, education, and governance. So India's contribution is simple but revolutionary. Public digital infrastructure can create private innovation and public welfare simultaneously. Once the digital foundation is built, the next frontier is artificial intelligence. India's AI journey moves from Digital India in 2015 to AI for all 2018 to the India AI mission in 2024. The key point here is that India is building a full stack AI architecture, applications, models, compute, data centers, and energy. So India wants AI to be democratized, not monopolized. The infrastructure layer is equally critical. GPUs, TPUs, semiconductor projects, 5G, data centers, and energy supply together form the backbone of AI. For Andhra Pradesh, one striking point here is Google's proposed 1.25 lakh crore AI hub in Vizag. India's development story is incomplete unless it is sustainable. India's conservation canvas has expanded. Protected areas have increased, tiger reserves have gone from 46 to 58, elephant corridors have expanded, and conservation now includes cheetahs, dolphins, snow leopards, and big cats. So this is not development versus environment. This is development with ecological responsibility. Mission life adds a behavioral dimension to climate action. The updated NDC targets 45% reduction in emissions intensity and about 50% installed capacity from non-fossil sources by 2030. And finally, we reach space, the most vivid symbol of India's rising ambition. The Indian Space Policy 2023 clearly separates the roles for the organization. So ISRO is for R&D, InSpace is for authorization and facilitation, and NSIL for commercialization. The space startups have risen from 1 in 2014 to more than 400. The space application layer is just as important. Space now serves agriculture, satellite data delivery, disaster management, and commerce. So space economy is projected to rise from 8.4 billion US dollars to 44 billion US dollars by 2033. So space is no longer only prestige science, it is strategic infrastructure. Strategically, space has become indispensable. So now we start GSAT 7 mission Shakti and collaborations with NASA, CNES, JAXA, and ESA show that space today is about sovereignty, security, science, and commerce together. So now let's close with the most probable MCQs. So these are the names you must revise repeatedly. So it includes India Semiconductor Mission 2.0, Biopharma Shakti, Rail Earth Corridors, Niryat Protsahan, Niryat Disha, India EU FTA, EFTA, TEPA, Securities Markets Code, Jan Vishwas, Sabka Bima, Sabki Raksha, Spice Plus, Parivesh 3.0, GST 2.0, 4 labor codes, ABDM, Abha, Telemanas, HPV vaccination, Navya, Namo Drone, Didi, Lakpati Didi, Umania, AVGC EXA, Waves Declaration, PM, MKSSY, Pashu Aadhaar, Shanti Act, ULIP, LDB 2.0, Smile, PM Vani, EPS Setu, India Stat, MOSIP, DPI Diplomacy, India AI Ghosh, Bhashini, International Big Cat Alliance, SPADEX, Vikram 3201 NGP 2024, and InSpace.